I think that a key thing for me that I tried to focus on was kind of switching from the idea of sharing my own opinions to kind of just tuning in and really listening and asking questions and trying to understand what other people are thinking first. And that can be tricky for us because in Western culture, it's so often that we think that our ideas and our opinions need to be heard in order to have a valuable conversation. But I think that having these Baraza groups and kind of taking a step back sometimes in these conversations made us realize that there's a really big value in listening and understanding. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things I learned during the conference.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Riverhawk Roundtable. Whether you're a current student or family, an employee of the school, a prospective family, or someone who is just simply interested in learning a little bit more about RNS, we are so happy to have you join us and listen to the incredible stories that make our community come to life. This week, I had the pleasure of sitting down with 3 grade 12 students who had the opportunity to attend the Round Square International Conference this fall, which was hosted in Bogotá and Boyacá, Colombia. To give you some context, Round Square is an international community of 260 plus schools in over 50 different countries that collaborate on character education around 6 themes, the Round Square ideals: international understanding, democracy, environmental stewardship, adventure, leadership, and service. Each year, Round Square hosts between 16 and 20 experiential learning opportunities, which include regional and international conferences. These conferences are incredible opportunities to travel, see different parts of the world, connect and collaborate with students who have different backgrounds and experiences, often resulting in friendships that last far beyond the event. And maybe most importantly, it's a chance to take risks and reflect inward to learn more about yourself than you ever thought possible. Let's get into it. Today we are so excited to have Sasha Mays, Cara Gibbons, and Isabelle Brennan joining us. These 3 girls are all grade 12 students and prefects who are actively involved in many aspects of our school community. But today we are going to be talking about the incredible experience that they had at this year's Round Square International Conference in Bogotá, Colombia. Welcome to Riverhawk Roundtable, girls. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
IB exams are over. You just got back from your grade 12 whitewater rafting trip. Grade 12 growth week is coming up, and graduation and closing ceremonies are on the horizon. How are you all feeling right now?
I feel pretty free. I feel like it's a lot of fun time to spend with your friends, but also I've never felt like this tired. I feel like I'm catching up on all the rest that I've needed in the past few months, so it's nice.
That's fair.
Yeah, it feels very surreal. I feel like I've thought about oh my gosh, I'm so excited for exams to be done, and now we're at that point, and it's just oh my gosh, we don't have a lot of time left, so it's kind of bittersweet, but the stuff we're doing is so much fun, so we're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, agreeing with Sasha, it just feels so surreal. The last 3 years have just felt like a blur, and it doesn't feel like I'm going to be graduating in 3 weeks and that my time at RNS is coming to an end.
So this year's Round Square conference was hosted in Colombia, and the theme was blooming from the past. And Round Square offers, anywhere from 16 to 20 conferences a year, but one major international conference that hosts, this year I think there were over 700 students who are present. I think next year's conference is already up to 1,300 students who are attending. So what did that conference theme mean for you when you think about blooming from the past in your life, in the context of the world? What does the theme of blooming from the past mean to you, and how did you experience that theme throughout the conference?
I think that the most prevalent time that we kind of were brought face to face with that theme was during a lot of the keynote speakers. I remember for the opening ceremonies, there was one politician who spoke to us, and she spoke to us a lot about the war crimes that have occurred in Colombia, as well as cocaine trafficking. And those really heavy topics kind of just made us realize that there can be beautiful things that come from a really dark history. And a lot of the activities we did, reforestation and visiting a goat farm, we kind of focused a lot on reconstruction of the communities and the environments. And I think that was a really positive experience for so many people.
Yeah, I'd even say just socially, this like theme of blooming from the past, it kind of like connects to all like the misconceptions that we have about different places in the world. Like I remember before I went to Colombia, like people would make comments about like what they thought Colombia was about, and it was very eye-opening to see and be like, this is a beautiful country and we're doing amazing things and meeting new people, and we're just exploring like the theme of change and like changing how people view us. And like I feel like that really resonated with me because so many people had commented on like the history of Colombia before we went, that I was just very aware of it. So I think like addressing it was really, really well done.
So the conference this year hosted 700 students from all over the world. What were some of the cultural differences between people that stood out to you? And did you notice any kind of unexpected similarities between people or differences that maybe you weren't expecting to have with people from different countries?
So after each keynote speaker, we would have a breakout like talk with our groups, and it was really nice to see how open everyone was. So everyone was sharing their experiences, their kind of opinions on different topics. And it was also kind of interesting to see how people would share all of their opinions and feel free. And one of the main ones was gender roles, I would say.
Yeah.
So in a lot of different religions, there was some opinions about what women should be doing and kind of marriage. And I think that was kind of one of the main topics and like the differences that we noticed. But it was also like there was no hate, there was no arguments about different religions, cultures, because everyone knew like they had the right to their own religion, they had the right to their own opinions. And it was really nice to see how everyone was open to share.
Yeah, and so these are the Baraza groups that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's a really special part of Round Square. So going into that Baraza group, I assume you were kind of prepped that was going to be a piece of it.
Yeah.
How do you approach going into that conversation knowing that people are going to completely disagree with an opinion that you might have and something that you might be really passionate about, in the sense of, gender equity is a conversation we have a lot here on campus. How do you approach that conversation knowing that you need to be respectful, but also seeing that people do have the right to have their own opinion, even if it might be completely different from yours?
I think that a key thing for me that I tried to focus on was kind of switching from the idea of sharing my own opinions to kind of just tuning in and really listening and asking questions and trying to understand what other people are thinking first. And that can be tricky for us because in Western culture, it's so often that we think that our ideas and our opinions need to be heard in order to have a valuable conversation. But I think that having these Baraza groups and kind of taking a step back sometimes in these conversations made us realize that there's a really big value in listening and understanding. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things I learned during the conference.
Yeah, I think in my Baraza group, I was very also like aware of that and just to try and listen. But I didn't really find anyone was like shouting their beliefs or really like trying to prove themselves to be right. It was more so just like, this is how we view this topic of gender roles or whatever we were talking about where I'm from. And it was kind of just very interesting to be like, okay, this is how we view it where I'm from. Let's talk about how we see that as a group and not just argue about what we think. Mm-hmm. So I think it was very much like about listening and paying attention to like what other people's struggles and like how, like I remember speaking to girls from like the Middle East and them talking about their struggles, and I was like so aware of like how blessed we are in Canada. And so it was kind of just like eye-opening to listen instead of just to argue your opinion.
And I think everyone was there for the same reason as well. Like everyone was there, it was a learning experience. So everyone was super eager to listen and hear other people's opinions and cultures. And I think that was really important too. Like no one felt like targeted or no one felt like they were being misviewed. And I think that was really nice too.
One of the pieces of the international conference that's really unique and I think is so fascinating is that you often have a host family and you stay with a host family for a couple of nights. So I'm wondering if you can share a little bit about what that host family experience was like for you. What were you thinking about going into it? Were you nervous about certain elements of it? And now that you look back on that host family experience, what do you think about?
Well, Isabelle and I shared the same host family, the Godoy family. And we really had like no idea what we were going into. And so obviously there's an aspect of like nervousness, like our personality is going to click with this family, all this stuff. But we quickly learned that Colombian people are probably the most welcoming people you will ever meet. And so the second we stepped into their home, they were grabbing our bags and like all this stuff. And we just really felt like safe in their presence. But what did you think, Isabelle?
Yeah, I had the same experience. Like I was really nervous going into it because there's so many unknowns with who you're going to be with. But I think we had like such an amazing experience, and it was probably my like favorite part from the trip was just like getting to spend one-on-one time with a Colombian family and kind of experiencing their culture, like being there and experiencing it with them. And I think they kind of did their best to share us everything that they do kind of on a day-to-day basis and show what their life is like. And they also were very eager to learn about what our life is like. They wanted to see pictures, videos, us to talk about our families. And I think that's really important for it to go both ways, for both of the people in the host family to be very eager to learn about each other. And I think it was such a good experience.
Yeah, I had a very similar positive experience with my host family. They had a very young girl, not very young, she was like in middle school, and she didn't have any siblings. So it was kind of just like being that big sister role for someone. I really loved that. We did a bunch of like traditional Colombian things that were way out of my comfort zone, but I loved it. And yeah, it was really cool. They taught me how to like shop at the markets there and argue the prices and everything. But yeah, I think just like forming this connection, it was really nice because we stayed with them at the start of the trip and the end of the trip. So you grow a lot in that time at the conference. So it was kind of nice to just meet them at the start and be like, I'm excited to be in Colombia, but I'm also kind of nervous, and then reflecting on your time at the end. I thought it was a really great experience.
How did the conference force you or challenge you to step outside your comfort zone? And I'm wondering if you can speak to a specific experience or a moment throughout the conference where you really found yourself being challenged to say, okay, I need to take a deep breath. I need to step outside my comfort zone. This is a little bit, uneasy for me, but I know that it's gonna result in something positive or help me grow in a certain way.
I would say the zip lining because I try to be very adventurous, but sometimes it's not my thing, but I try. So I was just like, you know what? No, like I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do it. And it was so much fun. It was one of my favorite parts. But I think just immersing yourself in that and like everything we're doing and being like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to challenge myself. It was really difficult, but it really, really was helpful. And I think I learned a lot about myself, and it was really cool. Yeah, so that would be mine.
So we went to this goat farm and we were working all day, shoveling manure and all this stuff. And we were like all starving by the end of the day. And they're like, oh, it's burgers for lunch. I was like, oh my God, a burger sounds so good right now. And they're like, oh, they're goat burgers. And I was just kind of like taken back. I was like, I've been like playing with goats all day and now I'm gonna like eat a goat. And I've never had goat before, but honestly, one of the best tasting burgers in my life. Maybe it's because I was starving, but it was so good. So
I would say one of the days we visited a local community called La Mariposa, and it was up in the hills, and it was beautiful, but I would say it's very eye-opening and different to what we are used to in Canada. It was very, there wasn't much structure to the houses. A lot of the families there lived in poverty, but I'd say that it was really nice to see because all of them were super proud to be from La Mariposa community, and they were excited to share their community with them and show everything about their houses. Like, they were super excited for us to be there. And though some people may think that like it would be kind of not great living in that community, they were the most proud people I've ever met. They loved everyone that they lived with and their whole community. And I would say that that was one of the most eye-opening experiences for me, like just seeing kind of the poverty that they live in, but also at the same time how proud they are.
Round Square is built on 6 ideals: internationalism, democracy, environmental sustainability, adventure, leadership, and service. Of all of those ideals, which do you think was most reflected in this year's conference, and how did you see it reflected?
I would say leadership, personally, because I think that leadership was kind of embodied throughout the conference in so many different ways. Kind of just like leadership in terms of making friends with people and talking to people that you don't know. Like, we were very close, like when we were like traveling together, but we didn't really see each other a lot like during the conference. So it was kind of just like, I'm going to make friends with everyone. I'm going to talk to new people. I'm going to show leadership, or I'm going to be a leader in my Baraza discussion tonight, or I'm really nervous about doing this new thing, but you know what? I'm going to be a leader and I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to be afraid. So I think that kind of was like embedded like throughout the conference. So that's what I would say the most like important ideal was for me during the conference.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think leadership was definitely like overarching. There were also like some other ideals that were sprinkled throughout. I think for me, the most prominent one in terms of the activities that we did and what we talked about was environmentalism. Just because we talked so much about deforestation, and while we were learning about this, we were also able to like get our hands dirty and plant some trees. And we also learned a lot about a bunch of invasive tree species when we were going on our hikes. And I think it was just very eye-opening to see like how environmentalism surrounds us and how it really does play a role in the local communities.
I would definitely agree that leadership was the most prominent, but I'll also say like within the keynote speakers and a lot of the presentations that we had, democracy was also very prominent, because they talked a lot about how Colombia has kind of bloomed from the past, like the topic of the conference was. But it was just kind of nice to see how a lot of prominent figures have kind of changed the way Colombia is, and how they're able to kind of share their experiences and show kind of how much Colombia has grown. And I think that was very important.
We were also there in like the midst of an election, so it was definitely a very prominent like political culture while we were there, but it was interesting to hear about for sure.
Sasha, I want to build on something that you said around this idea of I'm not going to be afraid, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
What is that voice in your head when you're in those moments and you're having to try a goat burger or you're trying to zip line, or you're in this space where you're like, even this idea around not sticking together as a group and needing to branch out because that's a really important experience. And instead of just sticking with a friend from your school, which would be comfortable, what voice is in your head, and what is it saying to you when you just need to take that step and branch out, or you just need to take that risk? How do you convince yourself to do it?
Yeah, I think a lot about like regret almost, and almost the mindset that I don't want to go home and wish I had done something, or I don't want to lay in my bed and be like, today was so good, but I wish that I pushed myself a little further. I wish I did this. I think that was really impactful for me, like during the conference. So kind of just like, if I have a doubt about doing something or talking to someone or saying something in this discussion, I'm kind of just reminded that, like, don't be afraid of voicing your opinion, or don't be afraid of trying something new, because this is such a unique opportunity that we have, and like such limited time that we have to do this. So why not just push yourself?
If each of you could describe your experience at the conference in one word, what would that word be?
Exhilarating.
Let's say immersive.
Unforgettable.
How has attending this Round Square conference changed you as a person and impacted you as a student leader? So you all went away, came back, you served as school prefects, you have all, been extraordinary leaders in your time here. But when you think about the way in which you lead, how do you look back at your experience at this conference and say, okay, I'm different because of this experience?
I think going back to that idea about listening, I think that the experiences that we gained through meeting in our different Baraza groups, I think that it kind of added this idea of like a listening oriented communication that has been really helpful personally for like leading my round council and talking to my co-prefects. I think that it's been definitely very, very impactful for me.
Yeah, I think just like discussing with other people and learning from how everyone else leads. I think that really changed me as a person. I remember having a conversation with two of they're my really close friends now, from Toronto. They were in my Baraza group. And one of them was talking about this activity that they do they do a couple Saturdays a month. And they were talking about like service and stuff. And I was like, this is really interesting. I want to talk to my service prefects about this and talk about doing something like that. And that's kind of how Service Sunday was formed. So it was kind of just like this idea that like you can learn so much from other people and how other people lead. And that doesn't make you like a follower, that makes you a leader.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the aspect of teamwork and working together, like Sasha said, we started Service Sundays because of what we heard at this conference, and we formed it together. We worked with our other prefect, and we kind of worked together to form it, but as well, like a lot of the activities in Colombia was part of, like we did a lot of teamwork. And when I came back, I kind of realized that you have so many resources around you that you can use, and you can reach out to people for help, and you can kind of lean on other people to offer you ideas, help, and just kind of use them to your benefit.
What would you say, or what advice would you give to a student who's thinking about applying to go on a Round Square conference?
Ask the right thing.
What are the right things?
If you're, maybe not for Dubai next year, but like if you know that you're going to go hiking a lot, bring more clothes than you think. Maybe bring a few like laundry bars.
Yeah.
You never know, but you never know when you're going to be caught in a situation where you need a quick change of clothes.
I would say be open. If you're thinking about applying and you're like, maybe that's not for me, be open to it.
Do it.
Yeah, do it. If you're thinking about doing something and you're like, maybe that's not for me, be open to it. I think just like being like ready to do whatever. And like if you're on the conference or if you're thinking about doing the conference, like just try it. Just try everything and you'll have fun.
Yeah, I would agree with Sasha. I know I was very skeptical on applying because I knew I would miss like a hockey tournament. I would miss lots of school and like just the beginning of the first month with all my friends and stuff. But I feel like I'm very thankful that I applied and went on this conference. Like, again, like it's an unforgettable experience and it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like, you could pass this up but never have an opportunity like this again. Yeah. And I would say just do it, just apply. If you don't get in, what's the worst that could happen? It's at least an experience of applying and having an interview. But if you get in, like that's an unforgettable experience that you're gonna have and that you're gonna take with you for the rest of your life, and so many learning opportunities that can come from this.
And I do want to say thank you again for your time. I know it's a busy time of year, and we certainly appreciate it, but it's great to hear about your experience. And I know next year's group is already excited, and the planning is underway for Dubai and a pre-conference in Oman, which is going to be really cool. And I just want to also say thank you for your leadership. I think all of you have been extraordinary leaders in our school, and I'm really sad that I missed your grade 12 year and that I wasn't here, but I've had the chance to see it from afar and witness the impact that you've made. The last question I have for you is we're asking every guest on this season is, what would you say is the secret ingredient or the special sauce that makes RNS unique and exceptional?
Community.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that being such a small school and having a lot of faculty right on campus, it kind of forces you to interact with faculty and other students or other peers daily. And I think that not only is it like kind of you're forced into the situation, but also you're excited. There's such good bonds between faculty and students, between students. And I think that no matter what situation you're in, you know you always have someone to turn to, and you have kind of a trusted adult or best friend to talk to. And yeah, I would say that coming from a small community, I was really kind of excited that RNS kind of shared the same values and community-like relationships.
Yeah, I would say community as well, and especially in terms of like involvement. I think there's so many opportunities here to get involved. Even if like that might not be a club, that could just be, I don't know, singing in a coffee house, or that could just be having a conversation with a younger student that you don't usually talk to. I think that coming from a really big school, it was really hard for me to feel like involved in my school community, and it was so separate, like home life and school life. And now they're all kind of the same, but I really love it. And I think you can really like immerse yourself in the school, and not just like in an academic sense. Like you can be involved in so many activities, so many clubs, try new things, talk to different people.
The way I think of RNS is kind of like a summer camp and a school combined. because everyone's just running around. They're having a good time between classes, but then you also have this like really rigorous academic expectation. So I think that the special sauce of RNS is probably this idea of balance, and a balance between extracurriculars and sports and the arts and academics, and everyone finds their own unique balance for sure. But the fact that all those opportunities are right there sitting in front of us ready to be like grabbed, I think that it's so important for us to take advantage of those opportunities because we really are so privileged to be a part of this community.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you again to Sasha, Cara, and Isabelle for joining me on this week's episode. These three are wonderful examples of student leaders who show kindness, give selflessly of their time to others and school events, and live our value of courage as they embrace opportunities like attending the Round Square International Conference. I wish you all the best at university next fall and hope that you come back to the Hill to visit often. This week's student spotlight is once again the RNS Choir. This piece is called Climb Higher and was recorded live at the New Brunswick Competitive Festival of Music on April 25th. The choir, directed by Mrs. Sarah McIntyre, received a silver for this performance. The choir is made up of students from grades 6 to 12, accompanied for this piece by Simo Ayubi on piano and Anakin Yu on the drums. Enjoy this tune, and until next time, remember to work hard, be kind, and look after one another.